All right, cool. I am here with my friend John Miller, founder of Scribewise. Hey, John, how are you?
Great. Good to talk to you, Jimmy.
Yeah, you too. I was just about to say founder of Scribewise, a content marketing agency in Philadelphia, but I don't know that that's necessarily how you would describe the company, and whether or not you're technically in Philadelphia anymore. Also, I'm not sure that is kind of up in the air too, right?
It has been a year of change. um, yeah, we would. Um, I'll the second piece first. We are all located currently around Philadelphia. We actually gave up our office during the pandemic and have all been working remotely. That's worked extremely well. I recently polled the team and said, "Do you want to?" My intention was to go back to an office. Um, But I polled the team and said, "Do you want to do that? Would you rather work from home?" So right now, I think what we're going to do as we move into 2021 and beyond is stay remote first. We may have an office someday, but for now, and we'll figure out social things and may do some co-working stipends or something like that. But that's kind of where we're at on that piece. In terms of content marketing, we bristle a little bit at that description. And we are now calling ourselves a brand dialogue agency, which to us means that we are trying to impact the entirety of the conversation around our clients' brands. And we break that our work down into three buckets really: content creation, which is writing heavy but gets into video and other aspects of that. The content experience. So there's so much content, as everybody who would dare to watch this knows. Um, Creating the experience around the content to me is extremely important to help it stand out. And then content distribution and promotion. So those are kind of the three buckets in which we live.
Got it. Got it. Okay, so the full spectrum, really, which is cool. And what types of clients do you work with? Is it all B2B? Is it software? Is it e-commerce? Like what's the or is there kind of an average customer?
Everybody is certainly has a different scope of work, and we're doing different things for everybody. Bespoke, you might say.
I like it.
But most of our work is B2B. We work with a couple of health systems, creating lots of content, news you can use type content, often with them, and getting into some of the distribution strategies around that. Um, we work with a nonprofit in Delaware, and a couple of other B2C like things, but no lifestyle brands, no energy drinks, nothing like that. And then in the B2B realm, we're doing lots of technology, typically SaaS companies, and a lot in and around the insurance world,
Okay. Okay, cool. That's interesting.
which could be health insurance, property and casualty insurance, etc.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. I mean, it's kind of like a nice wide swath of different types of companies, which for the person who ends up in this role, which
Yeah,
we can dive
yeah,
into, kind of creates opportunities to write about maybe more than just one thing. So the role you're hiring for, the title senior account
yeah, for
exec,
sure.
content marketing. Um, can you just walk through the role? What is the role? What's the day to day look like?
Sure. It would almost certainly be in the B2B side of things, but as things pop up, you might get to work on a couple of those other projects. Um, but it depends on the person. We want to hire the best candidate always, right? So if someone comes to us and they have some experience writing about insurance, we'll push them in that realm and perhaps massage the rest of the team that way.
Got it.
And if they come with more B2B tech experience, we'll push them in that role. I think B2B tech is frankly our bigger need right now. Um, so there's that piece of it. And uh, we do have a pretty rigorous process in terms of hiring people that we believe are great writers. Writing is extremely important to us. So that's one piece of the pie for sure, and that's a significant piece of the job. But we also want someone who can zoom back out and think strategically and not say, "I have these 5 blog posts to do this week," but think about what's the best way to deliver this message to our client's customer. Um, and then we're always on the lookout for some kind of T skill, someone who's done a lot of paid social media, has a lot of experience with analytics, maybe has done media relations. Not all of those things, but is there somewhere else where they can go deep and help to expand the capabilities of our team?
Right. Okay, got it. I wanted to ask about the strategy and writing thing. Like, do you have a rough sense of how much time this person will spend writing versus doing strategy versus doing other things?
I would say about half the time is writing, and all of the things that go into writing, researching and interviewing people, etc.
Hmm.
Maybe a little more than 50%. 20% is strategic, 25% is strategic, and oftentimes that is collaborative strategy. So talking with other team members, etc. And then whatever the last 20% is probably more administrative, which could lots of client meetings, those types of things.
Got it. Got it. Just
Not
about.
lots of client meetings. That sounds awful, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's part of the agency world, right? Like you got to establish the good relationships, maintain those good relationships,
Right.
communicate well, all those good things. Which, in my experience, is part of what makes jobs like this attractive. There's, um, plenty of content folks who I think would love to just spend all their time writing and not having to kind of deal with the rest of all the other things that come with doing client work. But you learn more and develop your skills so much faster when you are forced to create and nurture those relationships, because no content happens in a bubble, whether it's in-house, agency side, it doesn't matter. There's certain constraints, there's stakeholders, you have to advocate for
Right.
projects, you have to follow up, measure, da 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 da. And all of those things are in many ways what makes the work fun. And just from a career perspective, that's where you develop, some of the skills that help you grow your career too.
Yeah, I think agency life is very much about being nimble and doing multiple things. I always like to say that it's a great cocktail party job because you learn a little bit about a lot of different industries and a lot of
Mm-hmm.
different companies, which makes you can your neighbors who work in insure tech and the other one who works in pharmacy sale or pharmaceutical sales. You can have a conversation with either one of those folks oftentimes, and know what you're talking about. So I think that's the attractiveness, I think, for most folks who want an agency job.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. When this person sits down on their first day and they look around, who are the coworkers that they will work most closely with? Who will they be meeting with regularly, reporting to, that kind of thing?
Yeah, we're certainly a boutique agency, so fairly flat organization. Um, there's there's me, there's a management layer, but all of this is very informal, I would say. We thrive on informal communication. And then there's the rest of the group that's junior to mid level, I would say. And you'll work with, I try to mix it up so that you get to work with as many people in the agency. So you're not stuck in a team of two or three people all the time, but rather you get to experience working with Ashley and Erica and Meg and Bill um, over the course of time. And one of our folks is over the last year has really dived into a new role for us, and she's now our director of analytics. So she is kind of client agnostic, but she's underscoring all of our work. Um, we have a creative director, and then the other person who's not kind of a content marketer per se is a project manager, which is a new role for us also in 2021 or 2020 rather.
Nice.
So they'll interact with everybody.
That's cool. Do you have editors on the team? Do you work with freelance editors? How does that piece of it work?
We peer edit, which so we will depending on the account, someone will write it, next person will edit it. Oftentimes, I'm still seeing things before they go out the door, um, but we always try to have two sets of eyes on something before it goes to a client.
Got it. I love that. Actually, I've been part of peer editing setups at both of the agencies that I've worked at, and in both cases had a really good experience with it because one, you get the opportunity to be edited by many different people. Two, you get to edit, so you get a different perspective on the work. And I found that editing
Right.
other people's work actually made me a far better writer.
Yeah, I think that is, and it's interesting because you kind of our team tends to be nice, and sometimes they don't edit quite as ruthlessly as they should, which
Yeah,
is both a good thing and a bad thing because they're nice people. Um, uh, so, and then I'm the bad guy at the end of the day. Um, but yeah, I think I agree with you. I think it's another skill set to develop, and it's interesting that people who are really strong writers aren't always great editors, and vice versa. So um, there's no I don't know the rhyme or reason to that, but it's interesting.
yeah, that is interesting. I would love to chat with you for a minute about company culture. One of the things you call out in the job description, which we'll obviously link to so folks can read the whole thing, and obviously encourage you to do that. Um, you mentioned that if you have an aversion to a foosball culture, that Scribewise might be a good fit. And I'm curious. I think I have an idea what you're getting at, but could you speak to that for a minute? Like what is the culture like at Scribewise?
Yeah, well, and that needs to be updated in a remote working world too, right? But I would say I think there is a knee-jerk reaction in younger companies, in in startups, in tech companies, and in marketing agencies to think that the kind of the material things around culture are the most important things, the manifestations of it. Like we have a coffee bar, we have a foosball table, and those types of things. And we don't, and we didn't when we had an office even. But we want to have a culture of mutual respect and appreciation, but also accountability. And I think that's really where we're going with that. Is it's not about the material things; it's about your interactions with other humans.
I love that. I love that. I also noticed that you know in the job description you talk about things like professional development, continuing education, about benefits like health insurance, things like that. I mean, certainly in my career, I'm sure many folks have had a similar experience where you're looking at jobs and you see that they have beer on tap and fancy stuff, and you're like, "How about health insurance? That would be nice."
I worked at a company once at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Everybody was cracking open beers. Like
Mm.
that's kind of half a work day here. Come on,
Yeah, yeah, right.
like occasionally fine, but for Pete's sake.
What are the benefits like? I mean, is it you know health insurance, PTO, anything else that
Yep.
you want to highlight that either is typical or not typical, but just that people should know about?
Yeah, in terms of health insurance, we pay 100% of health insurance premiums for our employees. And if you have any dependents, we say that's on you, but we got you covered 100%. And that's full health insurance, dental, and vision as well. Um, in terms of professional development, everybody on our team has had some professional development this year. We have a bunch of folks working through the Superpath program.
Yep. Could you speak a little bit about the coach? What does that look like?
Yeah, we have a career coach who meets with everybody virtually once a month. Um, and I just talked with her this week about setting out what are and we want each individual to figure out what are their goals for the year ahead, what are their career goals, and how do those align to the agency goals. So that's her task really is to figure out with them. And I'm not really involved in that. Um, what do they want to do for the next 12 months? What do they want to do for the next 5 years? And help them figure out how to get ahead to benefit themselves and also, frankly, to benefit us as well.
Right, right. That's awesome. I mean, that's just what a cool benefit to offer the team. Um, any other things about either the role specifically or Scribewise as a company that you want to highlight?
Um, yeah, I would say that we've been growing for the last couple of years. Obviously, that's why we're looking to hire someone. I do feel like this has obviously been a very crazy year for so many folks, and we've been very lucky, and we've been able to continue to grow, not quite as quickly as we wanted to in 2020, but still we've been able to continue to grow. And we also made a decision at the beginning of the pandemic that you always read about companies, great companies that emerge out of troubling times, out of recessions or depressions, recessions more so than depressions, I guess, of the last 100 years. Um, so we early on said we want to continue to invest, and we want to invest a lot of time in talking about how we talk about ourselves. We want to hire ahead of the curve as much as we can. Um, and I feel that we have very much positioned ourselves as we move into the new year in a way that gives us the best chance of success. I have no idea what will happen tomorrow, but I'm very bullish on where we're at right now. So I think that's the biggest thing that I'm excited about.
Cool. That's awesome. And that's great to hear. Um, for folks who are interested, there will be buttons below this post and to the side also where you can express your interest. That form will take you less than 5 minutes to fill out. Just a couple basic questions about who you are, your experience, and some writing samples. And then I'll be helping Scribewise out, with the screening and recommending folks to go into the next step in the hiring process. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, Jimmy@superpath.co, or you can always DM me in the Slack channel. John, really appreciate it. I think this is a really fantastic opportunity. I'm looking forward to getting it out there and sending
Jimmy.
some good folks your way shortly.
Cool. I am excited about this. This is going to be a cool project for us.
Definitely. Cool. Well, thanks, John. Talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Jimmy.